All right. Great. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, whoever that's around, everyone in between as well. Welcome to our sixth episode of the new You Talkshow. Oh, my name is Frederick, and joining me are Mandd, Fernando, and Nick Isa. Great to have you guys on the show. Tonight's topic is entitled How to Manage Your Emotions Effectively. All right. So our emotions are the heartbeat of our human connections. Or rather our human experience, more like it. And managing our emotions is vital to our personal success. So let's start the ball rolling, guys, on this topic. And my first question is, what emotions are we going to focus on this evening? Seriously, there's so many emotions. Like, what are the kind of primary emotions that we're talking about this evening? Because I know, like, happy, sad, what else?
Okay, maybe let's talk about anger.
Yeah. Or maybe we can talk about negative emotions. Like, what are some of the negative emotions that we can highlight? We start with anger. Yeah. So, yeah, take it away.
Okay, especially when you're feeling angry, right? Do you know that your upper body right, and your arms are also having some reactions. So basically, right, you are very hot. You feel hot on the top part of your half. So basically, when you're angry, everything when the blood goes to your brain, so we are at anger. So the whole part of the body is all hot. So I would just, when you're angry, I would rather you calm down a little bit. And I think that you need to also be set awareness on your situations, understand your emotion, managing your emotions. I think this will help you to cool down a little bit. I understand when we are angry, we tend to shout, we tend to be loud, we tend to be very aggressive. And so I think that every cells in your body, right, reacts everything your mind say. So exactly when your mind say, I am angry, and you are about to shout at someone. Before you do that, I would rather you walk away in silence or maybe breathe first. And especially when you are in an argument, basically, the moment that you are talking an argument with someone, it's the same thing. So when you shout at someone, the someone will shout at you back. So rather that when a person shout at you, you try to bring down it a little bit, take a big breath and bring it down. I think that when you talk slowly, the person also think, oh, what happened here? So am I going to get shouted or what? So I think it's more about how you can change the perception of getting to the argument easily by doing that. Mandd, in terms of psychology, right, or in terms of this kind of feeling of anger, what's your point of view, or what do you think you can suggest on that?
I think the first thing first that I'm not sure how two of you perceive as in the sense that I noticed that there's a lot of people say, hey, there's no bad emotion. Anger, when you just need to use that anger to push your success and like motivate you and here and there, because on this area is the one that I definitely say no, because anger is anger. If you realize that, if you imagine that anger is a sunglass, that is a red color sunglass, whatever you see, it will be tinted with red color. And how can you achieve your pure success tinted with anger, or tinted with sadness, or tinted with maybe like jealousy and all of the other negative area? Because I do come across few speakers that say, don't see negative emotion as negative emotion. Use it for your success. But how can we be angry and successful happily?
That's interesting, man. Because in my head, I'm thinking you cannot laugh and cry at the same time. Nobody can do that. You can have happy or rather positive emotions and negative emotions both happening at the same time. That is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like even if you watch movies, for example, any thriller movie or whatsoever movie,
yeah.
When a person have anger and they try to resolve the situation, it always turns out not so right. So I think like what Nick said is true, that when we catch ourselves into anger, because it's impossible to be emotionless. If you without emotion, that means you are maybe a ChatGPT. Right? There's no emotion to a ChatGPT. No matter how you score, they will say, I'm language based. I cannot do whatever you say. But the thing is, like, anger is also, of course, benefited. Is a signal saying that our border is being crossed. if you realize that we will tend to be angry when someone try to cross our boundary, then we turn out to be angry. At least that we'll be able to know that, my boundary is this big. I have my hot button on this area or this topic. And for me, of course, my suggestion is actually to work on it. Because if you don't have a hot button, nobody can press your button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny though that some people who I noted what you just mentioned, like just now about people using anger to fuel their motivation. There's a fine line between being motivated and being angrily motivated. I mean, that's like trying to moderate. I mean, I agree that we should moderate our anger, but I'm not sure if when we feel motivated, we feel angry at the same time, because anger has some kind of a unforgiving and very resentful kind of intonation in it. Whereas for feeling motivated, one can feel motivated, but because of anger, they become motivated because there is a cognitive decision being made to fuel that desire to attain the outcome or the positive outcome that they want to attain, versus being angry and then wanting to go for the positive outcome. But at the end, you can't, because you're angry, you're resentful, you have all that hate in you.
Yeah, but of course, I'm not saying that you cannot be successful. For example, I mean, if we put into the case that someone that work as an employee, and they hate the boss so much and say, I will prove it to you. I'm so angry and I will prove to you that I can be a better boss. He walked off and he opened his own company and he might be successful. But will the success last?
That's another question. Yeah.
So this is the part that I feel, yes, maybe you can fuel for a certain period of time, but how, like, I believe that if it's not being regulated well, you not process that anger well, the anger will forever reside in your mind, in the sense that even your body.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that that's why I think the best part is to really regulate it, to really process it out before you even make a decision.
Yeah, I agree with that. Totally. Absolutely. Yeah. I think we can talk about anger still, but we can also talk about another emotions. Whereas for astrology based, when a person is angry, what we see is that anger has got to do with aggression and assertiveness. But assertiveness is more moderate. Anger, aggression is a little bit off, like way off. So when a person has a lot of Mars energy, right? When a person has a lot of like Mars in the birth chart, like the Mars is in a challenging aspect with other planets, such as the Sun, the Moon, or the Pluto, it can indicate a propensity for anger. So that is how we look at it as one of the signs we look at to tell if the person has anger issues or propensity for rage. So this is one. Let's talk about another negative emotions. Well, I don't like to use the word negative emotions because every negative emotions has a positive side to it. Like you can be angry because you are right, and you can be using anger for the right things.
Yeah. So
yeah, in a way.
Yeah. So, but of course, that part is a part that you need after you use it, regulate it before you use it. But of course, there are negative emotion that for me is really negative. I mean, for example, like guilt. What is the positive side of guilt? It's very hard for me to find the positive side of guilt, because I did met someone that shared with me way before. A friend of him always feel guilty about the job that he had, and in the end, he feel guilty whenever he work. So the success is being held by the guilt itself.
Yeah.
So in the sense, of course, you say, oh, it can be good if I feel guilty doing a work that I do. Maybe I will go out to do more charity to make me not feel not so guilty. But at the same time, whether I can release that guilt.
Interesting. I wonder if guilt is the same thing as shame, because when you're feeling shameful, you are very wary about other people, what other people think about you, versus if you are guilty. I think guilty is something else. I'm not too sure.
I think guilty is more towards self. Like shame is more towards other people.
Maybe they feel insecurity, maybe?
I mean, in the sense, like, I feel that, let's say I feel ashamed of myself. I mean, I feel ashamed of myself because how someone else look at me.
Mm-hmm.
but I feel guilty of what I cannot do or what I didn't do.
Wow,
Like
that
it's more towards like how I judge myself.
is self-shaming, isn't it?
I mean, like, because the thing is, if you realize that if you cannot perform your best, you are not ashamed. You feel guilty.
So that means you're feeling insecure.
It's not insecure. It's just, for example, I supposed to help Nick. In my mind, I know that I can do my best to help. But when I help him, I like half-hearted. Then in the end, for example, Nick injured because of what I did. Nick will not blame me because I'm still helping, but I will feel guilty of what I did to him.
Okay.
Probably the sense of unforgiveness, unable to forgive yourself. That's guilt.
Correct. So shame is more towards like I feel ashamed of coming out because everybody look at me differently.
I guess guilt is more conscious driven. Like someone is tickling on your conscience. like your conscience is being wounded and hurt, versus shame when you actually feel judged. Interesting.
Correct. Correct. So this is how I think I look at it, because from client over client, when they say, "Oh, I feel very guilty," actually not about other people. It's about how they look at themselves.
Interesting. Wow. when you have when you have somebody who is prone to shame, I don't know about guilt, but when you have somebody who's prone to shame, that person, according to the astrology chart, has a lot of Saturn. Like, because Saturn is associated with shame, to me, because it's about limitations, it's about restrictions. And so because of the hesitation in the behavior that Saturn is associated with as well, or when Saturn is in a challenging aspect with other planets like the sun or the moon, this can indicate the feelings of shame or inadequacy. Like a person in this case will hesitate a lot. So yeah, so that's when the coaching come in to overcome this issue, especially shame. And also, I don't know about guilt, but I think guilt is something even worse. Like it's worse off because it's about unforgiveness of one's self. That's tough.
Yeah. So I feel that there's certain things that when it's actually repressed, and it's actually like so faster in your mind, is the one that you really, really need to clear it up.
Yeah.
Because I mean, times to times maybe we feel guilty that I'm supposed to do my best, but the thing is, it might not have the consequences. But how about if I do something wrong that is a big, huge consequences way before?
Mhm.
And it was actually blocking us from performing to the best of ourselves.
That means you don't want to feel discouraged, something like that.
In the sense like, okay, let's say we make a very real example. For example, it's like, okay, one day I do a session for a client, and suddenly because of my session, my client become worse and worse, comparing to become better. I'll feel very guilty, right? And let's say the impact is my client in the end took her on or his own life. How guilty am I when when someone else with the same issue with that particular client come to me and say, "Can you help me with my situation?"
Oh man.
I will push myself back and say, like, I know I can, but at the same time, I afraid that I will replicate the same result. So in the end, it will actually block us, because the matter of fact is we all know that nothing we can do. There are a lot of things that we cannot control, but in the end, we blame ourselves because we are involved in a certain area. That's the very, very worst scenario. But of course, it's like anger is the same thing, right? If let's say I'm very angry with Frederick for a long time, I never resolved it at all. It's like in the end, Frederick, for example, not in Singapore anymore. I'm not in Singapore. I go back to my hometown, and someone else come to me and is exactly look like him. What do you think I will do to that person?
God knows.
Right? It's like, so that's why the thing is that I feel that all of this, I'm not saying that positive emotion will not cause the issue also, because I know that there's someone can be so happy that they actually have a heart attack. Because joy, I mean, like if you say about happiness, happiness will be towards a extreme joy, which is actually not so good. And if you never be able to release that, it's also not so good. So that's the reason why, in the belief of hypnotherapy as per se, no matter whether it's good or bad, it's the emotion that we need to regulate. It's not that we imagine that now you're very happy and you're forever happy, you cannot feel the sadness. how will your life be? You broke your leg, you look at it, you say, then you're happy. Say, I'm still happy. No, be like, just my leg break me. I mean, of course, people will say, well, I'm very grateful, but the thing is like, it's something that we don't regulate. We're supposed to be able to feel both sides of the spectrum in a very full manner.
I want to talk about when Mandd was talking about the depression just now. When you're feeling a depressions, right? Do you know that your lower body actually are not moving at all when you are in depressions or whether you are sad? Like what I think someone mentioned just now that really your head is down, everything also down,
Yeah.
and you're actually are depressed. I mean, you are feeling shock, something like that. So basically, it's like the lower limbs is not functioning. That's why sometimes when you receive a call, you hear that, someone in the hospital, you just dropped. So it's just very normal that a person will always drop or something with just that. It's feel of like a shock. It's like the depression hit you hard in your mind, in your heart. So this is always happens when you feel this depression. So I would just say that the best, take a seat, calm down, think positively, breathe again, I think, and then take the effect that, what should you do next, the next action? Yeah. If not, your lower part of the body will just be you'll be just down for a few minutes or so. So I think sometimes it is not easy to take calm all this emotion, controlling your emotions. But I would just say that it helps. If not, I think you might go to men's seconds talk about whether you got heart attack or whether you got stroke. I mean, you must always remember to breathe and to think wisely for your next actions. Yeah.
I think another interesting part is also a lot of people talk about the mind affected the body. Am I right? But the thing is like we also need to know that the body will affect the mind.
Yes, true.
So if for example that if you stand straight, really stand straight and really breathe and you try to feel depressed, it's very, very difficult.
That's exactly so. And in psychology, we call this behavior therapy.
Yeah, so it's like if you notice that you feel depressed, if you notice that for certain reason, you feel very, very down, like what Nick said is true. That's why depression become younger and younger, because please hold your phone and do your text message. And can you ask someone to take picture of you from the side? And you see people who is walking under depression, and you observe it from the side. All of them have a hunchback. The hand will like, nobody will play message like this. Right? It'll always like,
It'll be like this.
yeah, so
this is the look down generation.
so if you notice that if you use computer, if you don't lift up your keyboard,
yeah,
you will also do the same thing. That's why it's like people start to say like, how come people is easier to be stressed? Because everything that our positioning our body is build ourselves to have this habit of bending down. We're not even like breathing fully. And another part that I realized that if you realize a lot of stress, people will breathe in with their chest, not their stomach. But there is no baby that breathes from their chest. Baby is always like belly up, belly down. So if you even change your breathing to like use the stomach breathing, you will feel the changes in your body all of a sudden.
Interesting, because we're talking about depression, right, and feeling sad, right? Yeah, it's true that when you're sad, your body changes, and then when you start to behave differently, like you stand straight, you take a deep breath and all that, you may feel less sad, or you may feel better, like being elevated. I mean, the pain and the suffering is elevated, and you feel slightly lighter. But what if it's only for a while, because this is behavioral, what we call manipulation or manifestation, whatever you call it. But when you do that behavior exercise, that can last for a while. But what about the long-term why? So I'm just thinking about, how you can regulate it, because sometimes when people feel sad, there's something going on deep inside them. Like there's some root problems or issues that they find hard to let go. And that got to do with maybe a relationship, or it could be a past trauma or something like that. So I think that there is more than just behavioral exercise, but there's something deeper than that, like taking action on something. because I don't know, I'm quite a believer in choice theory actually. Yeah, so in choice theory, just for the listeners information, choice theory is like, it believes in one thing, is like we cannot change emotion. We can only change two things. One is our mind, our mindset, and the other one is our behavior, is our action that we take. So they only believe in changing these two things except emotions. So choice theory says you cannot change emotion. Emotion happens the way it is. You just have to change your behavior and the actions that you take, plus renewing your mindset. So I think I'm quite a proponent of this. Like I agree with this, because sometimes when I feel down, no matter what I do to change that emotion, I just can't. I don't know. Maybe you can. I can't. I got issues with that too. I mean,
I
sometimes.
think this is a part that we need to ask ourselves first. I mean, I cannot make you cannot feel angry. Yes, but imagine that if the situation that remind you of that anger have been cleared off, will you still need that anger?
Oh, imagine that anger has been cleared off. That's so
Wait.
solution focused.
No, I mean, like, because the thing is, okay, let's say you say,
Right.
oh, I always feel down
Okay.
when I go into somewhere.
Okay.
If we manage to change or we manage to resolve the feeling when you go to that somewhere, when you go back there, will you still need to feel anger?
I doubt so. I think that would be a little bit lessened. I think it's like putting yourself, it's interesting because you're putting yourself in a scenario, the same scenario, and you are conditioning yourself again.
Yeah, so the part that's why on the subconscious coaching itself is, okay, imagine a room. You are in the middle of a room.
Yep.
And there's something that you hate the most in the middle of the room. Let's say it's a statue.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people use reframing, am I right?
Yeah.
Everybody will tell you that, when you go in, you look at that, it's like, it's okay, it's middle of the room, it doesn't disturb you. You just feel happy and look on one side.
That's the NLP model. It's very, very cognitive, very logical driven.
So how about if I share with you, we have the way for you to look at that statue in a very different way? Or how about if I share with you, there's a way to actually either modify that statue or put it outside of the room? Will you actually still need to be angry when you are inside the room? I feel that one is coping, the other one is resolving. By coping means you go inside the room, you see the thing, you feel angry, then say, nothing happened. It didn't disturb me anymore. It's just a statue. It's okay. I go one side, it's still beautiful.
That's
When you look at it again, then you feel like it's still there. And that is where people start to feel, why whatever I do, I cannot resolve this. But how about I tell you that that statue is actually a clay? You can actually change the shape of that statue to be something that you love to see.
Mm-hmm.
When you go back into that room, how do you feel?
But I believe also that I think time will heal. The beginning of the time, it takes time for us
I
to
will not heal.
Yeah.
It hasn't healed me.
I think
It takes time for us to heal. I mean, sometimes, let's say, example, I am angry with my friend for many years ago, and then it takes time to calm down and just forgive the person, something like that.
that is the part that you need to realize what is play behind.
Yeah.
Is it the time that heal, or is it your forgiveness to your friend that heal?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, I would say if times can heal, I hope times can heal. But if you don't resolve the part that you need that time to heal, how would it heal? In the sense that you directly say, okay, you're angry with your friend, suddenly after you forgive him throughout time, it healed. But you did a very good job, but you have forgiven your friend. But how many people really forgive when they say, I forgive you?
Actually, I think it's because of time. And I think that for us, the Muslims always say, oh, you have to forgive and forget. No matter what. But as long that it depends on who is the sinner or whatever, indirectly to my religion. It depends on different religions. I'm not talking about religion here. Okay. But I think that depends on how you've been brought up. I believe also.
So I believe that for even forgiveness itself, right? If, for example, when I do my subconscious coaching, I just do a forgiveness area, it helps a person a lot. It's not a little, but a lot.
Yeah.
Even if let's say now Frederick say, right, he cannot forgive, right? we never plan all of this, right? I mean, to all of the, if I ask you, right, Frederick, if you don't need to say anything to, I mean, like, you don't need to say the thing.
Sure.
If I ask you now,
Mm.
is there any situation or a person that you need to forgive?
Yes, of course. Yes, I know I have to forgive that person, but somehow I have not forgiven that person. To be honest, right, that is the first level of success to me, because the first level of success is to have self-awareness, and I'm a person with a lot of self-awareness. So, so yeah.
So it's like, if I ask you now, if you look at that person,
Yeah.
and you just imagine if you can forgive that person, just imagine only. It's just an imagination.
And what would be the outcome, right? It's like,
You don't need to think about
just
the outcome.
picturing it.
I want you to,
That's
I'm,
become
I'm
just one
picturing it.
person.
I'm bashing the person in my mind right now.
yeah. So if let's say you just look at the person,
Right.
if you really know behind everything that the person did, and you manage to forgive that person,
Mhm.
what will your life be different?
I don't
What
know.
is the thing that actually dropped?
I think it's gonna be a little bit freer. Like I have less burden. I think if I were to forgive the person, I don't know, maybe less burden, less responsibility to hold on to something. Um, I can't think of anything else though. Not sure. Yeah.
So what you need to let go of forgiving the person is something that will help you to be freer.
I think it's let go of the person or let go of the pain that comes with that person. Because if I were to let go of that pain, I don't feel anything linked to that person anymore, because that person is linked to the pain that comes with that person inflicted upon me. And so my unforgiveness is because of the pain that comes together with this person that's giving me all the suffering.
Yeah, that's the part that's why is the thing about how I explained about the room just now. If that person is a statue, and I know that there's a part of the statue that if it's not actually there, the statue will not matter.
Mhm.
It's the same like what you say, it's the pain that attached to the person. If the pain is already not there, this person is already not in front of me in any way, it's not affecting me,
Mhm.
then your subconscious will be relaxedly let it go.
Most likely. I think how I cope with it is, I don't know. Many people have different way of coping, but how I cope is that I I ignore the person, or I probably do something else. And I think this is not like, maybe people would say, oh, this is denial. You're living in denial. Why can't you just face it? I mean, the thing is, we have a choice of not wanting to get to know the person or to get along with the person, simply because, but at the same time, I feel that ignoring and making the person irrelevant is better than hating the person. Like I can hate all I want, but hatred can actually brew and grow to an extent where it devours you from the inside. So instead of hating a person, what I do is that I ignore and I basically focus on another thing, because whatever you focus on, the attention on whatever subject or object you focus on, it grows. So if you focus on shit grows. If you focus on positive stuff, positive things grow. So I don't want to focus on that person because that person is shit. So I won't focus on shit that grows. I'll focus on a particular thing that I'm busy with and it grows. So I think this is a mindset which we should adopt. I mean, generally speaking, no right, no wrong, but that this is something which I feel this is how I cope. It's the same thing. If you want to free yourself, you sort of like make something that you don't like irrelevant, so that you can bring something into your life that you like and make it relevant for you, so it becomes part of you. I don't know.
Okay. But I have one question.
Yeah.
If you manage to make that person irrelevant, how come the person is still inside of
because you reminded me of it. You reminded me of that person. I'm like, okay.
I mean, if this person is the one that if I never talk about it, even the pain will not affect him.
No, maybe man, you can change the topic, the subject. Okay, let's say you bump the person suddenly.
No, I mean, I don't need. I mean, let's say you never meet the person now. Never meet the person.
Okay.
The real physical person you never meet.
Well,
my question is only one. Will that pain sometimes still appear
it does.
and reminded you on that person?
Well, the thing is, even if I meet the person face to face physically, right? I'm a very good actor. I know myself because I'm a very.
Let's don't talk about.
I'm just like,
let's
yes, hi.
Let's talk about let's talk about the inside. The inside.
The inside, I'll be like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah, so I think this is the part that I mean, when my client come to me, sometimes I will say yes. We often say we forgive the person. We often say we have we have let go of the past.
Mm.
But there are always certain things that still stuck.
Yeah.
And without someone reminding you, sometimes when you feel, even you see someone resemble, or even you feel that feeling again, you always remember it by the person. If you have let go fully and completely, you will not need that anymore.
Yeah.
And I always feel that there's a lot of people use distraction too much. For example, someone that actually always very depressed, go to the gym. They use the gym as a run away from the emotion.
Denial places.
So yes, the person will look like, wow, he's very healthy and stuff. But the matter of fact is the depression have been let go. Or every time when you do the exercise, every time I believe on the part that you say, I always a believer of what we focus grow. Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we also need to in Indonesia we always say if you cover up a spoiled fish with don't know how many wrap of paper, inside is still a spoiled fish.
It still stinks, right?
Yeah, so will it be better for you to throw away the fish? It's something that for you to think about. I mean, like for everybody to think about. I have experienced that as well.
Yeah, I believe we all have experienced that, and we cope the way we cope. And I'm still in the midst of trying to work on myself in terms of the area of forgiveness. To be honest, I'm still like in the midst of what we call in this stage of working on my emotion department. That is something which I am building up. When you're talking about cognitive, yeah, I'm pretty cognitive. I'm also pretty much rational and logical in some sense, but emotionally, it's something which, yeah, that's why I don't really like to go for all the emotional dramas and all that. And people are actually,
What's the drama?
hey, hey, why are you not attached, or why are you still single and stuff? I just want to be spared from all the emotional dramas and traumas. I mean, I had enough of these traumas and all that, and the dramas that come with it. So yeah, so I've not met somebody who doesn't give me that drama as yet. So I'm just gonna brace myself. Anyway,
but I mean, I believe that part is always believe that it's a decision. I mean, like for my side, I never say it's right or it's wrong. It's just that how the person actually live. What is happiness for a person doesn't mean happiness for another person. And yeah, I mean, the only part that I say is that way is like sometimes we thought that by distracting ourselves long enough, we will be okay. But more often than not, it's actually not the case. If that is the case, how come when I help a client, sometimes we will go back to 8 years old, 5 years old? Sometimes a client can be 50 over years, 60 over years. Is it long enough time to actually supposed to heal? From 5 years old to 50, 60 years old? So how come the emotion is still stuck since that day? How come after we release that emotion, the person behave differently and react differently to things that's supposed to make them react before?
Yeah.
So this will be the question for us. I mean, like that's why for me, every single day I'm also doing my own. I mean, I believe this is the part that maybe until the time that I die, I'm still clearing myself. But
it's a lifelong thing.
Yeah. So rather than coping, I always believe on trying to resolve. It's a funny story that I share with in the talk that I give when both of you actually was there. I really literally shake when I hold the mic.
Yeah.
You know, the worst thing is I try to be smart. If I press the mic to my body, it's not supposed to move.
Yeah.
Right. I mean physically lah. But when I do that, my voice trembles. So, and I really don't know what happened. Really, like I know that I'm supposed to be able to give that talk. I'm supposed to be able to talk 60 seconds without trembling, without shaking.
Yep.
And when I find myself that I went back to the time where I'm actually in the music hall, a very big stage music hall that everybody need to sing to be rated for the music grade. And I never practice. I never really like sing with the group. Then the teacher caught me never sing. And I said, okay, now you need to sing by yourself. I don't even know what tune to come over my mouth. I don't even sing. I just read. Then my teacher said, "You have the worst voice I ever heard."
That's trauma.
And since that day, I feel that before that, actually, sometimes when the teacher say, "Oh, who want to go for a play to, like to do the play kind of thing," I will still volunteer myself. But since that day onward, no more stage, no more talking in front of the class. And
That.
and after I managed to make peace out of that area, is where I realized I start to change. So this is the part that I believe that because of no matter what, we are the product of our past. It's really best for us to clear that up.
Speaking of that, I probably need a bit of clearing, clearing all the drama. And I truly agree with you because the thing you say to a kid, I mean, how dare the teacher? I mean, the thing is, the thing you say to a kid really does affect the kid. I mean, kids are so vulnerable. We are also very vulnerable. I mean, emotionally, if you say something to us, I mean, at a very very young age, it sticks with us. It sticks.
Yeah.
Same.
So that's what happened, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think sadness itself goes a long way back. I think when it comes to depression, how to tell when a person is prone to depression and whether the person can be made self-aware of depression or the propensity for depression. I think for astrologers, right, it's quite easy for us. Like, for example, I look at the moon. Like, the moon represents the feelings and the emotional faculty of the person. So when the moon is poorly placed on the birth chart, or when there are challenging aspects to Saturn or Pluto on the birth chart, it indicates tendency towards sadness and maybe depression. So there are other placements as well. So as long as the moon is very, very low or is in a very bad placement, there is a chance for sadness or depression. So that's a sign that I look at as well. And yep, so that is one. I'm not sure about how you tell depression. It's quite hard to tell. I mean, on the birth chart maybe, but using psychology itself, you look at the symptoms.
I think the only way look at the symptoms, I believe Nick also realized that when the person changed totally 180 degree, something happened in their life. So, I mean, maybe we just listen is a good enough thing. It's not like to advise them because you need to know when people in depressed situation, your best advice can be the worst things that they hear.
Yeah, just stay with them, right? Just stay with them and just listen. That's the best thing, I guess.
For me, right, I think how you want to regulate your emotions, right? You must always ask yourself these questions. What are emotions are you experiencing now? And then you must also accept the emotions. Okay, I am feeling this, so I do not. I'm just feeling that way. However, my next one is basically you need to know that you need to be curiosity about the emotions. Meaning that, oh, you must really know, oh, I'm feeling, how am I this feeling? And then what does it do to your own body? Okay. And also, lastly, right, I believe that you need to allow and have to release that particular emotions, no matter what emotion you're feeling. And you must also realize that you need to fight back. And I think that always take deep breath and let the sensation be. And then I think you feel much more better. Always be that. I believe that it's actually a cycle. So no matter what, you must try to talk about, just look at what I just mentioned just now. I think it will help in terms of your feelings, like your everything. And then you must always say that life as it goes on. Also, time is money. And also that I think that is time is precious, very precious. Yeah. So,
time is precious, but I don't think time is money. Value is money, bro. How much value you give is money, bro. Yeah.
How about Frederick? Yeah.
Time is precious. I mean, let's move to like the opposite of depression, because I think when you're depressed or when you're sad, you're actually stuck in the past. I think I agree with you, Nick, that we have to move on. I think let's not waste time by being stuck in the past, but to move on. And I think there are ways to do that with people you trust. I think depression is about the mind, the state of mind, and there are a lot of things that went on in my life which could have traumatized me to an extent where I just give up on my entire life entirely. There are a lot of situations like this in my life, to be honest, and I would have died. I would have given up on my life and just thrown away my life, for goodness sake. So it's like why I chose to move on is because there is something in the future. It's like a purpose. Like there is something that I expect. There's something that I see in front of me. Like it's like a light at the end of the tunnel. If you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, that's when you give up. That's when you feel even sadder, even more depressed, and then you sink deeper and deeper. So I think that this is something which I want to encourage everybody. It's like we all feel down in the dumps, but that's when you are really, really stuck in the past. But the past is the past, like what Nick has said. I mean, the past is already like over. And I think to move on is basically to look at the future. And the future has what it has, like the purpose. I think that's the most important thing, is to have a life purpose. Without a life purpose, you'll be stuck in the past, you'll be depressed forever and ever, and you'll just give up on life one of these days. Or maybe shoot yourself in the head. So I don't know. It's like there are a lot of things to yeah. So that was me. But I didn't go into depression, thankfully. It's the mindset. I always tell myself it doesn't exist, it always exists in the mind. Yeah. So the opposite of depression, I would say, is worry and anxiety, because for anxiety, you are living in the future, too much in the future. You're worrying about whatever that is going to happen, but may not happen, or probably won't even happen at all, which is like totally opposite of depression. Right, man?
Yeah. So I think that's the part that I mean, every one of us here believe that we need to really release and really process the emotion.
Yeah.
Just think of it as what you resist will persist. So rather than resisting to feeling, just feel it and let the feeling go. So if there is no question from the floor, I think maybe we should wrap ourselves up.
No, there isn't any question. And why just
No worries.
want to ask question?
But I guess I'll just take this like end of the whole concluding part of the talk show to just speak about two more planets. One is Mercury. I think Mercury is associated with worry or anxiety, because when we talk about Mercury, right, we link that to thoughts and communications. So overthinking, when one is overthinking, one is very anxious and one is worrying like crazy. And Mercury, in a sense, when it's in challenging aspects with Saturn or Neptune, it can indicate a lot of anxiety for the person, or sometimes the person may think ahead, or maybe overthink or overanalyze. So that can create a lot of problems later on. And then the last planet is Pluto. Now, because I wanted to talk about jealousy, but we do not have the time. But jealousy, to me, is a very, very strong emotion. And I think jealousy it affects a lot of us, especially people who are in the business, because when you are comparing yourself with another person, it's very easy to feel jealous. And jealousy has its association with Pluto, because Pluto is a planet of obsession and control and power. So when you are jealous, you want power for yourself that you don't have, that you can't have, maybe. And when in challenging aspect with a personal planet like Venus or Mars, when you have Mars, Pluto, or Venus, Pluto association, it actually indicates the tendency towards jealousy. So that's quite dangerous, because jealousy is a dangerous emotion, I feel. It creates anger, it creates sadness, and worry and shame all at the same time. So all these funny types of expressions or emotions start to surface when you are jealous. That is very, very dangerous emotion, and something which we need to like keep track of. I mean, something we need to like check ourselves. I feel, because of all the emotions, I feel jealousy is the strongest among them all. And
Yeah, because it's under business etiquettes.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah. So this is my last words.
Okay, it's a good sharing. So
Pretty enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed the sharing too.
Okay, see you all again.
All right, this is a very good episode. Nick, any last words?
Oh, I think we will talk about more about to just say about the next talk. So the next talk will talk about personality. We have a guest coming up for next week. So just watch out for our next talk. Okay?
Okay.
Good night, everyone.
Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.